Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I am your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Well, Piston fans, it's Christmas Eve. Tomorrow night, our Pistons are going to be playing their first game of the year, and we're going to be going on a 7-month-long roller coaster ride with this team. And I couldn't be more excited. Like I said, I've been a Piston fan since the days when they played in Cobo, and I had a mini season ticket package when they played at the Silverdome, and lots of years at the Palace. And then I've gone to games at Little Caesars, but I've been a diehard Piston fan throughout all the years. I've seen the championship teams play in person, in '88, the Bad Boys, and the Going to Work team. Went to every playoff game during those years, and so but there's been 20 years or 15 years at a time where we've struggled, and I am so excited about this team, and not because we're going to win a huge number of games this year, but because we have a lot of talent and we're building the right way, and we're going to get ready and we're going to get better this year, and we're going to be competing in the playoffs before you know it. So big news though is bad news. Bogdanovic was injured. His calf still has not healed, and so it was right calf strain, and it's not going to be evaluated for 4 weeks. Well, if it's evaluated in 4 weeks, then they start the rehab. So that's not even meaning that he's going to start the rehab in 4 weeks. So he easily could be out 6 weeks. And I wonder, I think I mentioned this before, that I heard him talk and speak about his off season, and it wasn't the same, and I'm not blaming him, and I'm not suggesting that he did anything wrong, but it's just, he trained in the morning, and then he spent time with his family and friends in the afternoon, and he didn't play with his national team like he usually does. And so, I mean, it's possible that he came to training camp and jumped in it too hard, too fast, and strained that calf. And when you're 34 years old, things don't heal as fast, and things just don't have the elasticity that they do when you're younger. And hopefully this isn't going to stop him from playing. I was excited to watch him play with this group and give us some floor spacing, and then see how the season went. And I was hoping that, if he got off to a great year and our team got off to a great year, or if we didn't get off to a great start, and then, if he played well, and then there's a potential of trading him. So I'm not sure how this is going to affect his trade value, but it's certainly going to push it back, because I really thought that, December 15th is an unofficial trade deadline. That's where the people who signed as free agents are then eligible to be traded. They're not eligible to be traded till then. So anyway, same thing with Monte Morris. Monte's a free agent at the end of this year, and we counted on him being our backup point guard, and he's got a right quad strain, and he's going to be reevaluated in 3 weeks. And so it was his lower back that he was injured at the open practice. I watched him working out with Jared Jack, and he was getting up shots and moving around, and then I watched him run some sprints pretty fast. And then we have Isaiah Livers, who's, sadly for him, always injured, and he's got that grade level left ankle sprain, and he's not going to be evaluated for 4 more weeks. So again, like I said, it's reevaluated, that's when he's going to start playing. So that's a lot of games that they're going to miss. So hopefully it doesn't affect Monte Morris's trade value if we were to trade him, because we only have him for the end of this year. Bojan, at least we have under contract for next year also. So we will see what happens. But what is going to happen is a lot of minutes are going to be opened up, and so it's going to be fascinating to see what happens tomorrow night. Because does Killian move back into the starting lineup where he started because Monty Williams said that Bogey would have started if he had been healthy. And then they took Burks out of the lineup, and then they let Killian start. Then the one game Killian was hurt, Ivy started. And so there's going to be minutes for Killian to prove himself. There'll probably be minutes for Sasser. What's going to happen now? Is Killian going to move into the starting lineup, or is Ivy going to start? It could be that they could start Joe Harris. And Joe Harris certainly is a floor spacer. He is an unbelievable three-point shooter. So it's going to just be fascinating to see what happens. But there definitely will be more minutes for Killian Sasser and Joe Harris than there would have been before these two injuries. So hang on to your hats, and we'll see what happens. I know that a lot of guys last year, it hurt us. The beginning of the year, Burks was hurt and Bagley was hurt, and we didn't have as good a depth as last year. But still, we had no bench at the beginning of last year with those two out. And once those two came back to playing, then our bench became much better. And before we were one of the worst benches in the league, then we turned in, with those two added, we turned into one of the best benches in the league. But then Cade got hurt, so injuries are just an unfortunate part of basketball. Young teams typically don't get hurt as much, so. Anyway, let's go to some of my predictions. And predictions are a little bit crazy because you just don't know what's going to happen. There's so many factors that go into predictions. So we're going to talk about, Cade, can he make the All-Star game or can he make Comeback Player of the Year? And it's still, these awards, there's a lot of things that go into them. And one of the biggest factors is, if you're going to be considered for an award, is how your team does. So you could be as good as you want. So if Cade had the same rookie season as he did, and he had played on a team that was winning, he probably would have been Rookie of the Year. But back then, that year, they decided that they were going to base it on the player that was a really good rookie that's team won, because they said they were contributing to winning. And I don't necessarily agree with that, because when Scotty Barnes got the award, Scotty Barnes' the Toronto Raptors went downhill when some of their good players got hurt. Even though Scotty Barnes was still playing, then their record all of a sudden went south. And so it really wasn't just Scotty. But anyway, we will have to be at or near 500 for Cade to get All-Star consideration. He did get some good publicity this summer, so those little things make a difference. Another thing that could make a difference is Adam Silver, the commissioner, has stated that they're looking at having the All-Star game go back to East and West. Well, and this last few years, they've been having the two highest vote getters, the highest vote getter in the East and the West, be captains, and then they pick not based on what conference they were in. Well, this, the East now is not as good as the West, so there might be more spots open for Cade. And I would be thrilled if he gets it this year, and I think he has a really great chance of getting it next year, though. Then we got the Rookie of the Year, or the all-rookie teams, but I really think that it does look like Wemby and Chet, if they stay healthy, those are going to be the two top contenders. They have been unbelievable in preseason, even though Asor's been unbelievable, but those guys have bigger names, and they are long, and they block shots, and they have been scoring, and I'm sure they're the two front runners for Rookie of the Year. But I think that for Asar to get first team all rookie, we will have to have some success, and hopefully, there's a lot placed on scoring in the NBA, but hopefully people will appreciate and all of Asar's other gifts that he's so amazing at, that he's so much better than everybody else, which is rebounding, defense, passing, and the combination of all those things that he does. So we will see what happens with that, and could Jaden Ivey get Sixth Man of the Year if they keep him in that six-man role? It's possible. No, I have not heard one person mention it, but he is going to score, and it still does remain to be seen. I do have a prediction. I think that at some point Ivey is going to start, but who knows? I don't know even for sure if Monte knows. So anyway, I'm going to give you some of my predictions, and again, like I said, with stats, they're very dependent on usage, how much you get to touch the ball, how many shots you get, and also how much playing time you get can really impact your stats. And so they're for a lot of guys, for Cade, it shouldn't matter. He should be playing 32, 34 minutes. And if he does that, I'm confident that he will score 23 points, average right around 23 points, and right around 7 assists. I have him only for getting about 6 rebounds, which he got 7 rebounds last year in that short amount, 12 games that he played. But I think that because we have Duran and Asar and Stu and then Bagley or Weissman, we have a lot of guys that are going to get rebounds. I remember Bill Laimbeer led the Pistons, the Pistons, when he first came to Detroit, and he led the league in rebounding. And then pretty soon after we got Rodman and Sally and James Edwards, Buddha, there were all these other guys that were getting rebounds. So he never, approached those rebounding totals that he got when we just had Isaiah and Kelly Tripucka and Kent Benson and those guys. So I think Cade's rebounding could go down, but what I expect to really go up is our shooting percentages. I expect he to shoot somewhere around 44% from the field. And the big one, I'm calling for 37% on threes. I really do like the way his three-point shot looked. And he's going to be an 80% free throw shooter. He's been most of his life, and he's got that shot. And so I am real confident Cade's going to have a fabulous year. So Jalen Duren is going to be one that's really going to be interesting. So I have him down for, after watching him at Rico Hines and with the select team, he was getting lots of points, and I think he's capable of scoring 14 points a game and 12 rebounds, and that is monster stuff. There's only like 2 players in the whole league that did that last year. But he's going to have to play at least 30 minutes, so that's, and I think his percentage will go down. I think he shot like 62% last year. I think he's going to shoot about 57% this year because I think he's going to look to score and take more shots. He might shoot a 3 here and there. He might shoot the mid-range, little 10 or 12-foot jumper. He's going to make more moves in the post. And so I'm excited about that. I'm really excited about seeing his assist numbers go up. And I think that Monte is going to look to use his gifts as a passer. And so I think his assists will greatly go up. But what we really need from him is we need him to shoot 70% at least from the free throw line because he is going to get fouled all the time. And I hope he needs to get 1.5 blocks or somewhere close to that, and for us to be a good defensive team. So those are all going to be very interesting, and what we see happens there. But one thing I noticed in Rico Hines and in the select team, Cade and Duren were constantly doing a high pick and roll, and during the preseason under Monte, we haven't seen that. So he's kind of been doing this pick and roll like on the side of the court with guys. And so I don't know if Monte will adjust or if they'll do it different, but there weren't, they could not be stopped. And of course, the defenses in Rico Hines are not NBA defenses. And the guys in the FIBA team and the Team USA, they were good players, but they weren't a very good defensive team in the FIBA tournament. So I don't know, but they just constantly, Cade and Duren they were unstoppable with that high pick and roll. It was in the center of the court, and I hope that we get to see that. Asor Thompson is going to be fascinating. In the summer, I was so concerned that he wasn't going to get to play enough, and I thought because Bogey was going to take his playing time, and I said we need to trade Bogey or bring Bogey off the bench so we can get Asor enough time. But then Monte, surprised me and most people, I think, and had Asor and Bojan both starting. So Monte loves him. He plays him. He's going to play him. He's going to play him lots of minutes. So I was concerned he was only going to play like 25 minutes or whatever. But he's going to play him at least 30 minutes. I'm pretty confident. And if he does, he's going to score probably about 11 points, 7.5 rebounds. Now everybody's been getting all hyped about his rebounds, and in summer league, and then and during the preseason, he got like 9 rebounds, averaged about 9 rebounds a game. But I just think, again, once we get into the season and we got Duren, he's a big-time rebounder, and he didn't play as many minutes during the preseason as Asar. And we got Cade rebounds, and we got a lot of Stu rebounds, and all those Weissman and Bagley rebounds. So there's not going to be quite as many rebounds. I'm excited to see what he does on the offensive glass. It was really cool to see he's such a good rebounder, which he's still going to get a lot of rebounds. And when he gets a defensive rebound, he pushes it. People just run down the court. So Cade doesn't wait back for the ball. They are confident that Asor can push the ball in transition and make good decisions. And I think he's going to average at least 3 assists this year. He is a great passer, and I look for him to get close to 2 steals a game and close to 1 block a game. And the big ones for him are going to be if he can shoot over 40% from the field. And again, he struggles shooting. He struggled at Overtime Elite. He even struggled, everybody sees how fabulous he played, and he did during the preseason in the Summer League, but he still did not finish around the rim unless he was dunking. and his 3-point shot has been suspect. He shot it good he's 4 for 10 during the preseason. That's a small sample size, but we're hoping that he can shoot that. That he can shoot close to a little over 30% on threes, and he's going to be wide open. So we'll see what happens, and he does need to get at least 68% from the line, if not get it to 70% if we're going to be successful. You can't win games if if he shoots in 35% from the field and shoots 65% from the free throw line and plays all the time, and it's going to hurt our chances. So originally, before Bogey got hurt, I thought he was going to go down. He averaged like over 20 last year, but I think he's going to only average about 17 even once he starts playing, just because there's going to be more mouths to feed, more people taking shots. Cade's going to be there, and Asar and Duran are going to take more shots than they did, and Ivy still got to get his shots, and Stu and all the rest of the guys. So anyway, I had him down for 17 and a half, and then I figured he's going to shoot close to 50, and he's going to shoot close to 40% on threes and 90% on free throws, because that's what he does. Jaden Ivey, I have him down for 17 points a game, and it's just going to be important to see how many minutes he plays. If he gets to play about 30 minutes a game, I think he should get close to 17. I would have thought maybe he could get more, but I just still think there's a lot of players that are going to be getting shots and scoring points, and so he might not get as many opportunities. I'm hoping that he gets about 3.5 assists, which is even less than he did last year when he took over as point guard. But again, when you don't have the ball in your hands, you don't get as many assists. When the guy that dominates the ball and has the ball the most, they have the most assists and the most turnovers. That's just the way it is. But I hope he shoots at least 43% and 37% on threes. His shot looked really good this summer. Like I said, it looked even smoother than last year, and he needs to shoot about 75% from the line. So some of these stats I'm giving you, I'm being a little bit conservative with them, but I'm targeting numbers that for us to be successful, that they're going to have to reach. And then Stu, I got down for 10 points a game. I think he averaged 11 last year and 7 rebounds, and I think he averaged 8 last year. But there's going to be more guys getting more rebounds. 2 assists. He's shown some good playmaking. 46% I got him for, but he hasn't been a good scorer from around the basket. And then now that he's going to shoot more threes, then that lowers his percentage too. I hope that he can shoot around 34%. And all these guys, here's the thing about, Ivy, they still let him shoot threes. They still go behind screens and kind of leave him open, and Stu's wide open. So when you're shooting, the league average is about 36 overall, but league average is like 38 on catch and shoot open threes, and that's what Stewart is going to get. He gets, even this preseason, he's wide open, and he shot like 20% or under. So anyway, hopefully he gets better at that, and hopefully these guys can prove that they can knock down threes, and at some point that teams will have to try to guard them so that we can have some kind of spacing, because if Asar's not shooting and Duran's not a three-point shooter and Stu's not making threes, then everybody's going to have one foot in the paint, and there's going to be no room for anybody, and those guys are going to get wide open threes, and they're going to miss, and that's not going to help us win games, I don't think. So I'm not going to go through everybody's stats, but one thing I would just want to point out to you, I was a little bit conservative on all the averages, maybe a little bit high on Duran's, but those 6 players I gave you, that totaled to be 92 points. And that's not with, Monte's going to play a 10-man rotation, so that's 4 more guys. And if they score, anywhere like 5 or 6 points, then that's going to be more points than what our team's really going to score. So we'll see what happens. But the deadline has passed for rookie extensions. And after your 3rd year and late in October, before the season starts, that's when players have to sign their rookie extension. So like Killian signed for this year, but we could have extended him so that he could up to 5 years after this year, but we didn't do that. So Killian will be a restricted free agent next summer, and so we'll just see what happens. And the same thing with Weissman. He could have got a rookie extension, but we didn't offer him one either. So it's interesting. Sam Bassini. He does the Game Theory podcast. He's really great, but he's not just a Piston. He does the whole NBA. And he said if the Pistons start Killian, he will effing lose his mind. That was his quote. But anyway, I wouldn't be shocked at all if he started him. I know that they are projecting that the Pistons win 20. There's two different gambling services. One has the over under for the Pistons at 27.5, and the other ones have at 28.5 wins for this coming season. So, and I'm still holding to my guns and projecting 32 wins, which is more than most people. But I just am optimistic that we will find a way to play well in those games. Again, it's going to take better defense, which we've been emphasizing. Our coaching staff. We have, I think, a really good coaching staff. Arn Tellem, that's our vice chairman for the Pistons. He is real confident that Monte has assembled this great coaching staff, and I agree with him. And I think that those guys are getting lots of teaching, and it just is going to take some time for them to get to be better on defense. But we have to get better to play better defense without fouling, and that's going to matter. Something to watch for. How many turnovers we need to average. If games where we turn it over 15 times or less, we're going to have a good chance to win. If we turn it over 15 times, there's a great chance we're going to lose. And if we give up too many free throws, we're going to lose. If we shoot, not a good percentage, like we were near the bottom of the league in free throw percentage last year, just those few points, games are decided on close games. And so we will just see what happens with that. I know that we have to shoot better from three. That's another big factor. I think 80% of the games are won in the NBA by teams that shoot the three better. And so I think our guys are going to be open. And I think our passing is so good that we're going to get open threes. And plus they're going to leave us open. And guys, we just got to hope knock shots down. We were kind of in the middle of the pack, I think, or we were in the 20s in three-point shooting last year. But what you have to know is the one player on our team that shot by far the most threes was Bojan Bogdanovic, and he shot 40%. And so if you would have pulled his percentage, his shots made off our percentage, it would go down, and we would, I'm sure, be at or near the bottom. So that's going to, and Joe Harris is going to help with that. I think Sasser is going to help with that, and we'll see. I think Cade's three-point shooting is going to be much improved. But I know a lot of people are excited that Stanley Umude has been given our last two-way contract, and he played great during the preseason. And I would just have to see if he, those guys, we get excited, and it's nice to talk about, but typically those guys don't make any difference. So, but it's a great story for him. I know I heard him in an interview, and he was all pumped up and real proud and real excited. So a couple other people that did not get offered rookie extensions are Sadiq Bey. He didn't get a rookie extension, so he'll be restricted free agent for Atlanta at the end of next year. And he had a really great game during the summer league in one of the games, I know. Player for Piston fans to watch is Patrick Williams for the Chicago Bulls. He is going to be a restricted free agent next summer. I think they probably will try to sign, but they're going to get to see. But he's 22 years old, and he's 6'7", but he's a really good defensive player, and he can pass and he can shoot. He shot 46% from the field and 42% on threes and 86% on free throws. So he's a really good shooter. I really liked him coming out in the draft, and if we could offer him some money. But here's who we're looking for. Here's what the Pistons are looking for, and it seems like his name's Jaden McDaniels, and he plays for the Timberwolves. So he's 23 years old. He averaged 12 points a game only, 4 rebounds only. He's 6'9", so we need a 6'9". We need a power forward just like Jaden McDaniels. It's in that 23 range, but he Again, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, 52% from the floor, and 40% from 3. So he didn't get a lot of shots because he's playing with Anthony Edwards and a really good team with guys that shoot a lot. And so he didn't get that many shots, but he shot really good. He's really efficient, but he is an all-defensive type of player, and he's 6'9", and an all-type of defensive player. But guess what? He got the rookie extension, $136 million for 5 years, and so he's going to be making over $26 million a year, and that's a lot of money. But that shows you how valued those types of players, the type of player that we need, are so valued. Even though he's only averaging 12 points, he's getting that big bag of money. And so it's going to be a challenge for us to find those. I do think that there are some available in the draft. There are some other people that talked about, there's, Steven Adams and Brandon Clark are both out for the Grizzlies. And so they are hurting. They have no centers. And they're without Ja for the first 25 games because of his suspension. And so will they try to make a trade? And so I know some Piston fans are excited. Well, trade him Bagley or Weissman and try to get Zaire Williams. And he's 22 years old. He only averaged 5.7 points a game, but he's a young player that has potential. But I think that before the Grizzlies would do that, they probably would trade for Robert Williams to Portland. And he's a great defensive player that's been injured quite a bit. He played for the Celtics, and he was part of the trade that sent Drew Holiday to the Celtics. So, and I talked earlier, I think, about Utah. They have a really nice team, but they really don't have a true point guard. And so I thought, Monte Morris would really be great for them. But he's injured now, so he won't be available for trade. But we do have some decisions to make. Like you said, something has to happen. Burks is unrestricted free agent at the end of the year. Monte Morris and Joe Harris are all unrestricted. And then Killian and Weissman are restricted free agents at the end of the year. So we just have to wait and see. And Giannis, he re-signed. There was speculation that he said he wasn't going to re-sign, but he did. And so he's getting a lot of money, and he's going to be staying with the Bucks for a while. Just hoping he'd come play with the Pistons. But Arn Tellem, again, I talked about him in his interview. It's a great interview that was on the Piston Pulse. He thinks that people are going to want to come and play with Cade. And as our team gets better, they're going to see that. And then, hopefully that happens. Another player that just got waived was Keon Johnson. He's only 21, but he's a 6'5" guard, and he got waived by the Suns. He was part of their trade when they traded Ayton to Portland. So there's guys that are going to be available. We have kept that 15th roster spot open, and that gives us flexibility if somebody that gets let go and that we really want. And there's been a few players that sound a little bit interesting, but I haven't seen, I don't know that anything's going to happen yet, but we just have to wait and see. But anyway, Piston fans, we are in for it. We're going to have a lot of fun this year. I can't wait for tomorrow night. I'll probably come and do a podcast right after the game, but I hope that things go well and we play well. And it is a big bummer about having those injured players, and it takes away our depth. It takes away a starter and arguably our first guy off the bench in Monte Morris, and he was going to be a big factor to calm us down. And he's so good with the ball, taking care of the ball, and that would really help diminish the number of turnovers we have. And he can play with Cade or with the second unit, and so we just got to hope those guys get better fast. And we hope that again, there's always a silver lining that it's going to be better so we're going to get to see more of Killian and Sasser and Joe Harris. So everybody loves Joe Harris, by the way, and Arn Tellem talked about that he's a big favorite with all the players on the team, and he brings a lot of energy and spirit, and besides, prolific three-point shooting. So anyway, if you're watching on YouTube or listening, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up. If you're watching on Spotify, please leave a 5-star review if that suits you. Be the reason that somebody feels cared for and heard. And let's go Piston. Let's get those Miami Heat tomorrow night. Thanks.